SUMMERSLAM. Feel the heat. SUMMERSLAM, the heat returns. It's the biggest party of the summer. It's SUMMERSLAM 2021. And we're going to talk about it all today here on Tap Out Talk. Hit my music. It's the biggest party of the summer. It is SummerSlam 2021, and the WWE spared no expense tonight for your sports entertainment. I want to go over the show tonight with you guys. I want to give you my thoughts. I want to give you a little bit of insight of what's going on in the world of sports entertainment. So, without further ado, two major returns tonight in our action, but we're going to start with the opening. What's SummerSlam without a little RK Bro and that beach bum of a wrestler, Matt Riddle, who everybody seems to love, right? He comes out, he kicks his flip-flops off, he kind of fights barefoot in the ring, had a great career in UFC for a little bit. But anyway, enough of me playing the Riddle and trying to figure out what exactly is the appeal with Matt Riddle. Maybe that's the enigmatic thing I can't understand. But what I do want to talk about is this is the battle for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and this is the battle of two remakes. These are two remake tag teams that exist in the modern day WWE. The first being Amos and the phenomenal AJ Styles. AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers on the planet today, in my opinion. He still is up there, right up there with a Kenny Omega, okay? But we're not going to go into that today. What I am going to say is AJ Styles and Amos reminds me of a very old school tag team, and you know what, possibly what I'm talking about. The two dudes with serious attitudes, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and Kevin Nash, a.k.a. Diesel back in the day. Now, those guys remind me, they're doing the Amos AJ Styles thing here. It's the bodyguard aspect, right? While they develop the big man. So on the other side of this tag team match, they defend their titles against RK Bro. And this tag team is the modern WWE rehash of the Rock and Sock Connection. So that's what's going on here. You got the Viper Randy Orton, and you got the kind of goofy Riddle, and you're trying to do the Rock and Mick Foley thing here with Mankind. So the match, again, it was a good one to start out with. The crowd loves RK Bro. They love this whole dynamic. I personally am not a fan of it, but it's hard for me to get on with Riddle. I like him. He's a good mid-card. He's a mid-card act, right? But I just sometimes wish they would do a little bit more of a serious approach with him. But I guess there will be plenty of time for that as he develops. So for now, he rides his little scooter out with Randy Orton. We're going to kind of play this comedy routine up. And what the WWE did here tonight is they let these guys battle. They let them wrestle. I like what they did. They kept Amos strong. And then they kind of knocked him out. And then they really attacked on AJ. And really, at the end result, RK Bro took and won the tag team championships tonight. We're going to see what the WWE does with this. I heard there's going to be a live celebration tomorrow for the newly crowned Raw Tag Team Championships on Monday night. So I'm going to say that we could have a This Is Your Life segment maybe. Never say never in the WWE. Tonight we also had, this was an interesting event tonight because it had a bit of an old school feel to it in the fact that it was a jam-packed card, and they gave time to the matches they wanted, and they also had some pretty quick squash matches throughout the night, and it reminded me of very early 80s style of card in the SummerSlam traditions. So what we had here was Little Miss Bliss who now completely owns the Bray Wyatt persona and character. Which, again, that's not about what we want to talk about tonight. But then going against Eva Marie with the former Piper Niven. So, and as she is the role model, right? Eva. Her wrestling is still, not quite there. But they made this match very short for her. It was a quick act. I thought they were going to do some of the spooky supernatural thing with Alexa Bliss, but ultimately they did end up, with Bliss winning, and then Eva kind of had a little bit of a outs with the former Piper Niven, and then ultimately wasn't much to see here, guys. There was a certain point in the match when Eva grabbed Bliss's doll and started smacking her and started like abusing her a little bit. And I mean, it just kind of came across a little goofy and a little unplanned. And, it's a shame because I know Alexa Bliss is a good talent and a good wrestler. And I'm a fan of her work and how she's able to reinvent herself. So she got on the card. She got off the card really quick. And not much to tell with this one, guys. Let's move ahead. All right, we get to our United States Championship bout, and we have the Great White Sheamus with a broken nose, and he was wearing a pretty heavy-duty mask. So, and then we had him defend his title against Damian Priest, who is one of the rising stars recently that's come up from NXT. And what we're looking at here is WWE saying it's okay to take the next step. I think they really like Priest's work that he did with WrestleMania with Bad Bunny. And he spent the last few months, on his own kind of fighting Miz and Morrison. Hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison. Okay, won't go into that song, but you know the one. I've posted it on my page. So ultimately, they gave the nod to Damian Priest here tonight after a pretty good match. You had Sheamus playing with the crowd a little bit as a heel, but Damian Priest, very convincing in his win, and the United States title is now on his waist. And I like this move, the WWE. I like him. Him beating Sheamus. Sheamus right now is becoming transitional champion in a sense. I don't think he lost his credibility all the way, but he's kind of becoming the guy that kind of helps set up the next guy. And I think he might be that, street credit version of a enhancement talent. I mean, even though he has a former, world champion. So anyway, Damian Priest gets a good solid win at SummerSlam, and it'll be interesting to see where he is in 3 years. He's got a unique look and style to him. Congrats to Damian Priest. And then we go into tag team action once again, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. We have the Mysterios versus the Usos. That's right. So Rey and Dominic Mysterio taking on Jimmy and Jey Uso of, the heads of the table assistants, we should say. So what we have here is a rematch. Of course, they've gotten these tag titles about a month ago. And the Usos defended again tonight very well. Rey and Dominic are not looking on the same page anymore as father and son. So we could get a potential father and son feud. There was even a little hint of it, as far as bringing in some Eddie Guerrero references tonight. But I look at it like this. That might be Rey's retirement match and having a nice little bout against Dominic. And I know that's would be a great way to end a story cap career. But again, they made the right choice tonight with the WWE. It was a pretty quick match again, but Usos retained. They need to retain. You got to keep this Tribal Chief Samoan Dynasty story that I love so much, and you got to keep that going. And having the titles in the Usos makes sense. They are probably one of the strongest tag teams in the WWE right now, and right now this tag team set looks a lot more serious than the former tag team that I talked about with RK Bro. So right now I do believe these guys as champions and expertise. We get to the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus the boss, Sasha Banks. And we've been looking up for this match. We've advertised this match all the way up to the point. And then what happens is we actually don't get this match tonight. Sasha is not medically able to compete, according to the announcer, all the way up to they're hitting their music, basically. And instead we get Carmella, the Queen of Staten Island. And Carmella is now taking on Bianca Belair, who Bianca Belair has actually had her way with Carmella over the last few months. So this is where it gets a little weird, right? Because you got this young star in Bianca Belair, the EST, who you built up since Mania, and you let her have a nice win over Sasha Banks and had some win over Bayley. And now they did a little bit of a swerve tonight, and your first major return, the man is back in Vegas, Becky Lynch. And I'm telling you what, Becky, all red-haired and fire-eyed, is ready to roll. Becky looked good tonight. It was a very warm welcome. It's great to see Becky back in the ring. And she comes in the ring, and she beats up Carmella. And then she points at Bianca and says, "I'll be with you in a moment. Hold on," and throws Carmella out of the ring, throws her into the steps, kind of just ruins her a little bit. And then Becky gets in there and looks in. Bianca Belair, again, is not looking like a professional women's champion, right? She's looking like an excited little kid. And she's like, oh my gosh, and jumping up and down, and like she's the biggest Becky Lynch fan. And I got to kind of knock her a little bit on this. And I know they're going to play the story that she just wasn't ready and was overwhelmed by the star power of Becky, who main evented the first ever women's WrestleMania. But it's not a good look for somebody that you're trying to build for your future. And I did have this question when we first started back at Mania with Bianca's journey as champion. And I said, who are you going to put with her as a dance partner? And they've cut her reign very short right now. So it made her look like a jobber, and she is a transitional champion at this point. And she was just holding the belt until Becky got back. Becky gets in the ring, says, let's tear the house down. You think they're going to put on something great. And what happened is she beat Bianca Belair in 5 minutes. Easy, right? If not less, maybe 5 seconds. So now we have a new SmackDown Women's Champion in the man, Becky Lynch. And don't get me wrong, it's the right spot. Becky is a good champion. Becky will, the WWE needs to make this major push with their stars right now that they're lacking. So they got to utilize Becky. But you didn't have to squash Bianca in the process. I'd be interested to see this week on SmackDown how Bianca responds. And hopefully they can build something to it. So let's kind of stay tuned. Up next, we have the Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal, and for the Intercontinental Championship. So what we have is a title defense, and we have Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal. This is the battle of the three-man band, right? So these are the battle. This match lasted a few minutes. You had Mahal's guys that were banned from ringside. Drew beat him with a Claymore pretty quickly, and then Drew started swinging his big sword around and chased them all kind of to the back. So there was really nothing here. I hope that WWE gets a better spot with Drew. I believe Drew McIntyre is still one of your future main eventers, and I get they could have done a little more with this whole three-man band aspect, but it is what it is. We're going to get a lot of going on with Drew in the future. I think it once, kind of we get past the Bobby Lashley aspect. Raw Women's Championship up next. We have Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Those two have been going back and forth like crazy. And then you got Nikki Cross as the champion, who just won Money in the Bank last month. And what a month happens and changes. And she actually won Money in the Bank and then cashed in, and she actually is the title and the champion. So this is a way to keep, I'll tell you what's going on here. Nikki Cross is a transitional champion, or somebody just to keep it cool or hot for a little bit. This is a way to keep Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley going, right? These two have had phenomenal matches over the last couple pay-per-views, back and forth, and just it's a slow progression. So the WWE tonight took this title, shoved it right back to Charlotte Flair. Now, I really believe it could have went back to Rhea Ripley, and you could have had Charlotte and Ripley going at it again. But the reality is, I think it's twofold. One, I think the WWE needs to keep Charlotte a little happy with her booking. We know Ric Flair has recently quit the WWE over it. He said, fix it or else I'm gone. And now I think they're trying to do that a little bit. But I also think, giving it to Charlotte gives Rhea Ripley the chance to finally conquer Charlotte Flair down the line. So I think, this feud is not over. And Nikki Cross is going to end up, kind of being the collateral damage in this one. So Charlotte Flair is your new Raw Women's Champion. A lot of championship changes tonight. Up next, we have one of my matches of the night. Okay, this was one of my favorite matches of the night. The work these guys have, the work these guys put into their craft. Okay, the ultimate opportunist Edge. He said he had to go deep. These guys are now in a grudge match tonight at SummerSlam. They've been fighting since all the way back, even a few months ago, right? Even at Mania a little bit, there was a little bit of fighting back and forth, and all during that time. And so even Seth recently cost Edge a title opportunity. So these guys have a history they've been building and brewing. Now Edge comes back and he said he's going to beat Seth Rollins, and he's going to dig really, really deep to his past. And I like what they did tonight. Best entrance of the night. Edge came out with the old school Brood vampire gimmick type music, which transitioned then into his modern, Edge gimmick. And it was just a really nice, it caught my attention really off the gate. And I was like, ooh, what are they doing here? So Seth Rollins was Seth Rollins, right? They're still trying to figure out what his character is after the Shield, and I thought they had it down at one point. But anyway, they really played into a few years ago when he could have broke Edge's neck when he had the curb stomp at him. And that was the story of this match tonight, was using the curb stomp to try to end Edge's career. And so at the end of the day, it was Edge over Rollins. 1, 2, 3. Edge had a sweet spear that right between the ropes, right outside of the ring. It reminded me of WrestleMania when he did that against Mick Foley at one point through a flaming table. So Edge got the win. It was a good match. Edge over Seth Rollins. All right, now we get into Bobby Lashley, the dominant Bobby Lashley, with MVP as his manager. Again, one of the best younger guys that I feel the WWE is pushing and pushing well. And we have him against Bill Goldberg, which in this picture kind of looks like a little bit of a Gilbert in a sense. But Goldberg, they would have taken a better photo here. But Goldberg, this match should have been Brock Lesnar. But the WWE does not know what they wanted to do with Brock Lesnar. They couldn't get him or anything. I'm not, but this should have been. This was when Lashley beat Kofi last month. And he beat him very dominantly in a fashion, almost Brock Lesnar-like. And, the world's screaming for that matchup, but it just doesn't seem to happen. So they get the next best thing. They get Bill Goldberg to come in. This match, I was very fearful that they were going to let Goldberg just dominate like he did the Fiend Bray Wyatt and dominate everybody else that he did. Kevin Owens, Dollar Bill Goldberg is now starting to be the guy. He's squashing a lot of guys, and as he's coming back on these retirement tours. And I mean, I like Goldberg. I'm a fan of his work. I've enjoyed his work. It's nice to see him. But at what point do we, got to let him lose in a fair, clean match, And I think Bobby Lashley should have dominated Bill Goldberg tonight. That did not happen. Bobby Lashley did have a dominant performance. But at the end of the day, Bobby Lashley, this ended in a no contest, right? And MVP hit Goldberg in his leg with his cane and, kind of got involved with some managers. So I don't know if they're going to continue this into next month at Extreme Rules, which it does seem like they'll set it up for Extreme Rules in Columbus, Ohio. But with a stipulation. But right now, Bobby Lashley's still champion, no contest, and hopefully no rematch. We'll see. And then we get to our main event, the ultimate big pay-per-view, John Cena versus the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, for the Universal Championship. And this match is the match of the summer. This is the summer of Cena. I like what they did here tonight with Cena coming out with the video game vibe. I like the fact that they are coming out, and the story here is he could roll up and beat Roman Reigns in 3 seconds, and that's all it takes to beat Roman Reigns. And John came out, and what the question is John Cena, was tonight big match John, would he perform and would he break Ric Flair's 16-time World Championship record by grabbing a 17th title here. And that was a nice little bring up to the story. Roman come out with the Usos. Paul Heyman, he dismissed the Usos after the entrance. Uso stayed out of it tonight, and Heyman came out with him. These guys had a match back and forth. I really like the heel work that Roman has become. I've said that time and time. I like how he looked in the camera a lot tonight and said, "Hey, Hollywood, get ready. I'm sending him back to you. He's not going to be, looking too pretty," that kind of stuff. And that was a nice play for something the WWE was doing tonight in their media. So not a lot of people know, but the WWE struck a movie deal, which is like a WWE Together movie deal, where they actually stream these pay-per-view events across AMC theaters now. So that was kind of a cool way. I could imagine sitting in the theater with the crowd and watching it, and him looking right at the camera and saying, "Hey, Hollywood, I'm sending him back to you." So I think that's a nice play to tie those brandings in. So I got to applaud Stephanie for that, as far as trying to get the more fans to watch this in fan type venues instead of just all at home on Peacock. So I do like that move. But this match, it was a little bit outside. It was a lot of Roman dominating his performance. He dominated on Cena a lot. Cena got a lot of roll ups, tried to get the pins. They kind of went back and forth on that. At the end, we did the attitude adjustment. No, kick out. We did trying to get him to give up. Nope. Roman's not giving up. He did the attitude. John Cena did the attitude adjustment through a table. Then he did the attitude adjustment all the way through, outside from the top rope all the way to the ring. So at the end of the time, again, Roman finally found his stride, and we got Roman Reigns as your current WWE champion. And now we are looking at, Roman continuing on through the fall and for his next challenge. However, just when the pay-per-view is going off, the WWE shocks us and shocks the world with a big return. The Beast, Brock Lesnar, is back in the WWE. And I'm telling you what, he's looking like a Viking off of a TV show, right? He's got a big bushy beard. He's got his hair back in like a long ponytail. We have never seen this Brock Lesnar before. These two have so much history, and they usually have great matches and a rivalry at this point, right? So they've always had each other's numbers. Paul Heyman looked very scared. There's the real story. I talked about this 6 months ago, and I said, what happens when Roman and Brock get back together? Who does Paul Heyman side with? He's always chosen Brock Lesnar in the past, even over CM Punk. Speaking of CM Punk, he made his debut on AEW Rampage the other night. And I think, this is a direct answer, having Brock Lesnar come back. That was a direct answer to CM Punk's, debut. So I think having, Brock Lesnar, this was the WWE's trying to answer them. He wasn't in his gear or anything. It's like he walked just right off the airplane in a tank top and a t-shirt and said, "Okay, here I am. Pay me. I'm going to do some work." But I like seeing Brock back. So that's a nice, move by the WWE. And that could be, very clearly, it's an easy exit for John Cena, and it's an easy entrance for the next opponent for the head of the table, Roman Reigns. Well, guys, that is the end of SummerSlam. Some of our thoughts and reviews. So I just want to let you guys know I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you would. And give me your thoughts. I want to talk about this. But for now, it's game over.